did you do to kind of set your resume apart from others when you entered? Because you went through the program and then you did a graduate school, which may or may not be related, but how do you think everything you did set you up for Gustafson and then beyond?
Great. So I think originally I was a direct entry student, so which means I was actually in a different faculty beforehand. So I was in the Faculty of Science and then switched into business. And I was originally told that I would not be accepted. So I was like, oh, I cannot go with a no. So I had already done a lot of volunteer work, and I really agreed that volunteering is extremely important. But for me personally, I had to work on my academics because I was taking organic chemistry and that was not a fit for me personally. So I had to work on boosting up my GPA to be accepted. But I think, again, just the leadership is really important. So if you want to get involved with the Commerce Student Society, for example, you can do that, but you'd have to be in commerce to do that. But if you're at UVic already as a student, you can join the student union and really get involved there. But if you want to start your own club, that shows some leadership skills that will really set you out from the other applicants as well. So leadership, even if you're on a sports team, really highlight the skills that you learn being on a sports team. Don't just say that you're a captain, really highlight the leadership skills that you learn from there, working with conflict, working with difficult people. If you're able to demonstrate that in your application, I know that will allow you to stand out.
Thank you for that great answer. And also direct entry is cool to hear about as well, because I didn't know that either. So I think the viewers out there are going to be happy to know that, yeah, you can do another faculty and then transfer into business, which is quite cool. And earlier you mentioned Camosun, and just for our viewers out there, Camosun is a local college here on Vancouver Island. So you can transfer from another college and also come directly into the Faculty of Business, which is quite nice. So lots of opportunities and ways. And as the students here highlighted, volunteering and boosting your GPA are great ways to get admittance into the Gustafson School of Business. So appreciate that, guys. You guys all got in, so you guys are all stellar, I'm sure. So like, yeah. And so I'm going to go back to Lindsay with this question. So we want to know how large your class sizes are. So you came from the Faculty of Science, so maybe you can differentiate maybe how big your classes were in your first couple of years in the sciences, and then going into business, how large your classes were there.
Sure. Another great question. So with class sizes in the first 2 years, they were typically around 150 to 200 students. However, in that case, when the classes were that large, you would either have a tutorial or a lab, which have about 35 to 40 students. And so I think that's a great way and balances it out, so it doesn't seem as intimidating as it might seem. However, profs have like office hours, and they're very approachable, and you can always go to them. But then once you're in the business school, in the third year, you'll have a cohort. And then there's about 55 students, I believe, in each cohort, and you become a really, really close family. You hang out together, you study together, and I think it really makes for a really worthwhile and wonderful experience.
Thanks, Lindsay. And I'm going to go to Elliot here, because you did the traditional 2+2 program. You did your 2 years, did your pre-core, then went to your core. And so for you, what did you find your classes were like in pre-core? How big were they? And once you got into core, what did you find the atmosphere there was like?
Sure, thanks for the question. So I decided to take an approach of take everything that I possibly could and see what happens, essentially. So I studied philosophy and psychology and history and sciences, and then I started studying Mandarin for some reason. And I just wanted to get a full mix of everything. But I noticed sort of with a lot of those first 100 level classes, in psychology or history or whatever you might have, a lot of them are big classes. Like you have 200 or 300 students, and that's quite common through a lot of different faculties. And then once you get into the business program, as Lindsay said, like you're surrounded by 50, 55 students, and the bigger core is like 250 students. And, you know, it's nice because that gets broken down into 5 groups. And then you grow with your group essentially through the semesters. And, you know, it's a fun environment, and you're collaborating with your team, and you're trying to, you know, participate with each other and learn more about the program. But it's a nice, like she said, family environment. I think that was quite a good way to put it. But, you know, it's you meet the same people every day, whereas with the first 2 years, you're quite, you know, on your own, sort of navigating through the whole thing. And then once you get to Gustafson, like it's like family.
Right on. So a lot of community, family vibes, which is what I'm getting, which is pretty awesome. So, and you guys already seem like you already know each other, even though we have a bunch of different years, which is pretty cool. So it seems like you also have like blend throughout the years and throughout the graduating classes. So that's also quite awesome that you guys recognize each other through the different graduating classes of Gustafson. Speaking of Gustafson, since that's the hot topic for tonight, I want to talk a little bit about the professors, what they're like. And Katie, you mentioned earlier that you call them by their first names. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about what the professors are like and how that relationship has kind of factored into your overall growth?
Yeah. So the professors at Gustafson, I've really been impressed with. So each of them are super unique and come from different backgrounds, which I think is really cool because they bring sort of a different perspective into every single class. We do call our professors by our first name, which makes it more of a relaxed environment, but still one that you really respect them for. I think what was really cool too is that I've graduated now, and it's only been 2 weeks, but we finished in August, so it's been a few months, and my professors still to this day ask about how I'm doing and that kind of thing. So you build really good relationships with them throughout the core year, and you feel really comfortable going and talking to them and, you know, saying, how's this going, or I need help with something else that's not related to this, and they're totally open to that. So professors at Gustafson are really special. Yeah.
Does anybody have a story they want to share about a prof in particular? Maybe a funny story or something that's helped them along, that's kind of given them a lot more insight to the program? You don't have to. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Well, just to show how much our professors respect and everything that we're doing, in the School of Business, in your cohorts, you sort of do challenges, things that are like, you know, take a bunch of selfies together and put them on the page and people will like them, and it really shows the bonding. So we had to take a Halloween photo, and one of our professors decided he would get into a cow costume for our photo. So the whole entire class got around him. He was in the photo in the front, had a big pose on, and he was our accounting professor, and he loved every minute of it. So they're super open to getting in and doing things with you. So fun.
Nice. That's super awesome to hear that you can actually be friends with your professors, that they're people too, which is so unique. So I'm glad that we can hear about that today. So Andreas, we talked a little bit about some of the extra projects you're involved in. So what extracurriculars do you think have been really fundamental to your learning here at UVic, especially with the School of Business?
As I said, I'm an international student, but Gustafson is a very community-driven school, and over the past year, while I'm in third year, I've been able to be involved in the Commerce Student Society, as well as JDC West, which is a business competition across Canada. Jeu de commerce is what it spells out. But there's opportunities to get involved in a bunch of different projects inside the School of Business and with other faculties as well, just so you can apply the knowledge that you get in the classroom as in different projects.
Right on, thank you. And Elliot, you as well mentioned that you were involved in 2 extra projects throughout your career here at university. Can you mention what those were and how they played into your degree?
Yeah, so I, in my 4th year, I had a phenomenal experience because I started with my exchange to Shanghai, and then I went immediately on afterwards to Germany to work for a medical technology company. And then after that, I came home, finished up my degree, and I applied for an international conference down in Buenos Aires. And so I finished school on a Friday, and on Monday, I was on a plane down to Buenos Aires to Argentina to, attend this conference where I was the only Canadian there. So I was one of 100 students worldwide selected. So that was a really unique opportunity because that was the first time I was completely fully immersed in an environment that was unfamiliar to me. So that was a really unique opportunity. And then later on through that conference, I also got invited to the World Business Dialogue, which is, once you start getting into the program and learning about all these other opportunities, there's so many opportunities out there that most people just don't even pay attention to. But like with Gustafson, one of the things that we try and do is we learn to think differently and compete differently and figure out how to differentiate ourselves. And so then I went to Cologne, Germany as well, during the program. And both of those experiences I've met with business professionals from all sorts of different backgrounds. And also I've made a lot of friends through those too. So I've made contacts in Madrid, Spain, and I've gone traveling and gotten to stay with people in, other parts of the world. So that was a really interesting experience that sort of opens up beyond what you would even expect.
That's insane. So not only did you represent the Gustafson School of Business, but you represented Canada down in Argentina. So crazy. That's so cool. And that was an opportunity given to you from completing the school here. So insane. Hope you guys caught that at home because that's, I think, a really cool opportunity. And that gave me kind of goosebumps because that's pretty cool. So right on. And so Taylor, this next question is for you because you are living in residence, correct? Yeah. And so Taylor, can you tell us a little bit about residence and tell us a little bit about the business living and learn community, maybe what that is and why students out there should consider living in the business LLC?
Well, yes, I am in 4th year and I am still in residence. I'm currently the residence education community leader for the business living learning community, also known as the business LLC. Residence is a really great experience. In your first year, you get to meet a bunch of different people. You kind of all are together. Most of you are away from home for the first time ever. So you really get to bond over that. And with the business LLC, you really get to be with people who are also pre-core admits into the Gustafson school. So that's really nice. You all have something in common. You're all taking some relatively same courses because you guys will have a few prerequisites. So you guys get to study together. We have a lot of programs that we put on for you guys that are more like business learning. We have networking events. We have like how to write an email or how to like dress professionally. A lot of fun things that are more centered towards making your first year at UVic a really great experience and how we can take you into the business program before you are in your 3rd year of core.
Right on. So it sounds like a lot of things that you're learning in the business LLC would essentially help you with your admission application applying to business by your 3rd year. Yeah, nice. Right on. So that's pretty cool. That's great to have. And for students out there, we also have what's called the first year guarantee. So if you're a student coming directly from high school into the University of Victoria, you have a first year guaranteed placement in our housing. And from my understanding, you can apply to live in the business LLC if that is something that you want to do, if the business faculty will be of interest to you. All right. Now, Caitlin, earlier you mentioned about the UVic vibe and the culture, and that's kind of what drew you here. Can you tell me a little bit about more of the atmosphere, not only at UVic, but in the actual Gustafson School of Business and the program?
Yeah. I would say that the Gustafson School of Business atmosphere very much reflects overall the atmosphere at UVic. It's significantly more, like we are more laid back than you would expect of business students. Everyone's super friendly, willing to help at any time. And I think you really get to form those deep friendships and deep bonds, which, and I'm going to sound like a typical business student, is really what's going to get you ahead in life, because networking and who you know is so much more important than what you know. And so, yeah, it's a beautiful place to live. For those of you who've never been to Victoria, there's beaches and oceans, and it's very much like, it's so hard to describe without actually ever being here. I can just tell you, you will love it, because everyone is just so friendly, and you feel like you're at home, even though it might not be your home, but it will eventually become your home.
Right on. Thank you. Beautiful answer. And so for those out there, we are the West Coast, and a lot of people think that it rains here quite often, but actually we do get a fair bit of sun. I just found out a fact that Victoria is the sunniest major city in BC, which is pretty cool. So all the more reason to come and enjoy our vibe and our atmosphere. I've got a question here from Lindsay now. So Kriti, our viewer from India, shout out again, wants to know how recent graduates have been posing out in the working world and what kind of industries you've worked in, maybe not just as a post-grad, but kind of what collectively got you there.
Sure. So more so where I'm working now. Okay, so originally right out of being graduated, I worked for the Gustafson School of Business in admissions. So I really enjoyed that, and I really appreciated that, having that offer even before I graduated. So it really goes to show that Gustafson supports their students even once they're no longer a student and alumni. And then following that, I worked for the Victoria Hospitals Foundation as a development officer, so raising money for the local hospitals in Victoria. And then following that, where I work right now, I'm the manager of philanthropy for the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, and it's a youth leadership nonprofit. And so I run their philanthropy program, and I really knew nothing about fundraising beforehand. And I think what the business school did for me is it allowed me to just take those chances, apply for jobs that you're not necessarily qualified for, but have the confidence that you know that you can do it. And so far, so good. I haven't been fired, and I've been in the job for over a year now, and it's been a wonderful experience, and I am enjoying being in the fundraising world.
Right on. Thanks, Lindsay. So it sounds like you have a pretty impressive resume, which is super cool. But do you think you would have got all these jobs and unique opportunities had it not been for the experiences in the business program? And maybe what specifically kind of helped you get along to helping acquire some of those cool jobs?
Sure. I think what led to that was mainly the co-op program and working with the co-op coordinator. And so what I had to do is sit down with the co-op coordinator, destroyed my resume, and then pieced it back together. And I think that really helped, and it really helps me stand out. So usually every time when I apply for a job, I will hear back and secure an interview. And so as I mentioned earlier, I think the main challenge is working out the timing and who am I going to hear from first. And so I think that's the main thing, the co-op experience, having that diverse experience and using the student card when you're working, getting paid, but it's nice having that student card as a backup if you don't know how to do something, which is what I really enjoyed. But then also, again, as you mentioned, the networking skills. It is so important to learn to know how to network, know what to do at events, and it really allows you to stand out from a crowd, be confident when you approach people in a room, even when you don't know them. And so I think it's the networking skills and the co-op program that helped.
Right on. So it sounds like networking and the co-op are all experiences that you built throughout your 4 years studying in the program. And then, of course, the business LLC is also teaching you these cool opportunities as well. So it sounds like you guys have it really well made and kind of creating a a human being for the real world is what I'm trying to say. So you guys are like ready and you're fired up. So not saying nobody else is, but you guys have the tools necessary, which is pretty neat. Okay. We're going to go to video now. So we get a short little break. So to all you viewers out there, stay on, keep asking your questions, but check out this cool video about the Gustafson School of Business.
At Gustafson, we say the world looks different from here, and we built the school on that idea. Over the years, we've blazed our own path and built our own identity. And as everyone who's been part of the journey will tell you, the place that we've created really is different.
Business education was quite different in 1992 when I joined Gustafson. But even back then, we understood the global trends, we understood some of the challenges, and we built a school and a philosophy that was unique and that stood out. And we encouraged our students to look at the world differently. And what this meant was teaching them to value the planet and the people in addition to profits. It also means teaching them to celebrate a global outlook, diversity and openness, and how to run a good business while making a positive impact. This philosophy runs through all that we do at the school, and I'm proud to be surrounded by gifted thinkers, teachers and friends. And to me, this is a big part of the Gustafson difference.
Gustafson teaches students how to see the world differently. But just being a Gustafson student is different. We travel and broaden our horizons by going on international exchange. We put our learning into practice and gain professional experience through co-ops. And because of the close-knit cohort structure of the school, we connect with professors, make lifelong friends, and experience education in a way that only Gustafson students can.
Gustafson offered me something different, the chance to go global, traveling across the world to experience how other cultures and communities do business. The knowledge and opportunity to make a difference in the world, thinking of the triple bottom line, and access to world-class faculty whose knowledge and expertise have helped me and my classmates excel at case competitions both at home and abroad.
Gustafson has always believed that education is about more than academics. The Executive Mentor Program connects students with local business leaders. As a mentor on the program, I've been given the exceptional opportunity to engage with students who are striving, performing, and excelling at their highest levels. The Gustafson program holds value, support, and an ongoing, unique opportunity to give back. The Gustafson students graduate with the experience and networks that give them the edge.
At Gustafson, we do research differently. We were one of the first business schools in North America to focus research on entrepreneurship. And we continue that legacy today by tackling wicked problems related to sustainability, pressing issues in international business, and offering expert insight into service management. We connect ideas across disciplines and we collaborate with each other in an intellectually stimulating environment that inspires innovation. We're proud of the contributions we make to generating business knowledge and practice, and I cherish the culture of research here at Gustafson. That's how we help others do things differently.
Over the years, as we've grown from a small faculty to the globally recognized, forward-thinking and outstanding business school we are today, difference has remained our focus, our motivation, and the heart of the Gustafson experience. You see it in the passion of our faculty, in the drive and enthusiasm of our students, and in the commitment and closeness of our broader family, alumni, donors, mentors, co-op employers, advisory board members, and other supporters. Each of these individuals has a vision tied to our own, and a story inseparable from that of Gustafson, of looking to the future, of embracing new ways of thinking, and most importantly, of doing things differently. It's been an incredible journey so far, and we look forward to the future with excitement and optimism. The world continues to look very different from here.
And we're back. Hopefully that video was really demonstrating. It's about the Gustafson School of Business. So all these guys who've seen it, they've heard about it, which is pretty neat. Got more questions. And if you have more, please continue to ask. There are a lot of you out there. So please ask any questions you might have and tell us where you're from. We want to know where you're coming from potentially, because we're all unique in where we live and we're all here at UVic. So tell us about it. We want to know, next up, what are your commerce specializations? Why do they work for you? Why did you pick it? Tell us a little bit about it. So maybe we'll go kind of full circle because everyone has their own specialization. So Lindsay, we'll start with you.
Sure. I specialize in entrepreneurship because I thought that would be a nice experience to know the different aspects of how to run a business. I really enjoyed it. Was in a group with my friends and had a great experience.
Thank you. So at this stage in third year, we haven't declared our specialization yet. It happens midway through this year. So we do it in fourth year. But I'm also planning to do entrepreneurship just to put those business skills into practice on my own little project.
Yeah, so I'm same as Andres. I haven't declared yet, but I'm thinking about doing a double specialization in service management and entrepreneurship.
So I did my specialization in entrepreneurship. I did it in the last semester here. There are other specializations. There's international business, service management, and you can go unspecialized. So you can take prerequisites for accounting and things like that. But I did do my entrepreneurship program, which has really helped me in the future of starting my own business right now.
And I am in fourth year, so I'm declaring, I'm going through all my specializations right now, but I'm specializing in service management with a chartered professional accountant focus.
I also am doing I did the entrepreneurship specialization. I think it was a great program because it's been over a year now since I graduated, and I'm actually still working on the startup that I had then. And it's interesting because you get to create and build whatever you want, and it sort of reflects the whole vision of Gustafson in that you really get to build your own story, and I think that's a really exciting part, whatever it might be.
Awesome, folks. Thanks for your specializations. And Katie, you mentioned starting your own business, which is pretty cool. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how it's going?
So through the entrepreneurship program, you select a business that you sort of want to focus on and work on throughout the entire semester. And whether you choose to continue it on or not is your option. But I chose to continue mine on, which I make beeswax wraps. So they're the planet-friendly alternative to cling film. So reducing our plastic waste because nobody needs to use plastic anymore. It's harming our world. But anyways, plastic waste is really harmful. And so these beeswax wraps are to cover bowls and things like that. Yeah, you can find them anywhere.
Super duper. That's really cool. So I'm glad to hear it. So kind of like a focus on your business, but also on sustainable, environmental friendly options, which is really neat. So perfect. I also want to know a little bit about what it means when the Gustafson page says the world looks different from here. And I believe, Elliot, you kind of had a good answer. You really talked about it. There's been some passion going through your answers so far. So what does that mean? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the logo and the motto of Gustafson is the world looks different from here, and it is that for a reason. It's not really something that I expected or understood when I first started the program, but as I went through it and as I got to spend time abroad in Asia and Europe and got to meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds, you really start to just think differently. And I know that I've grown into someone who I wasn't before. I'm becoming more the person who I want to be as, in my career and in my life. And I think it's a really interesting experience because in a lot of times, in business programs, you might not necessarily really think about what direction am I going in and why am I doing what I'm doing? Whereas at Gustafson, you really think about, why am I doing what I'm doing? And it gives you that chance to like talk about your passions and about your interests. And like I said before, that you get to build your own story. And I think that's the most interesting thing about it is, that's a different way of thinking is, building your own story and figuring out who you want to be and then really chasing that goal.
Perfect. So chasing that goal, that's pretty cool to hear. So I'm sure you guys are all chasing the goal, trying to get that bread, which is as what the kids are saying nowadays, right? So let's get that bread. So what does a typical workload look like in the commerce program? So maybe if we can describe the workload as it was in your pre-core and then what the workload looked like going into core. So Kaylin, would you mind talking about that?
So for pre-core, it really depends on what you're taking, where your interests lie. You could decide to take a bunch of econ courses or a bunch of math courses or engineering, or I don't know if you can take engineering, or science courses. And then your workload's probably going to be pretty heavy. Or you could maybe take a lighter workload and focus on other things. But when you get to core year, I'm not going to lie or sugarcoat, it is fairly heavy with an emphasis on group work. You're put into a team of 4, which is your team for the semester. And you do a lot of group projects. You work a lot with them and collaborate and brainstorm and try and innovate. And yeah, it is a challenging program, but nothing that is not feasible. Like it's doable. Essentially, you just need to be able to time manage and you need to be able to prioritize, and you need to be able to not get caught up in the stress of it all. A lot of people blow things out of proportion, focus on what's in front of you. And this is just general advice. Focus what's not in front of you instead of like everything that could be happening, if that makes sense. Take it one day at a time, do what's on your plate, and don't worry about the rest.
Awesome. So it sounds like pre-core is kind of what you make it. So it's going to be as challenging as you are willing to put the work in. And then once you get into core, it sounds like it's quite supportive. So although it is demanding, you have this 4 group of students who, as you guys have already mentioned, become family, right? So really get to know these people. Can anyone else attest to maybe the workload as it is in pre-core as opposed to core?
So I think my pre-core, I took a bunch of general courses. I took psychology courses, health courses, and a bunch of different ones at Camosun. So my workload was not as heavy as I thought it would be because I also spread it out a little bit longer. And when I did get to UVic for the Gustafson School of Business, it was a lot heavier. But now reflecting on it and everything that we went through, it really actually sets you up for the business world and the world that you're going to be in and the workload and stuff, because you're learning about prioritizing which group project is more important and timelines and deadlines, and actually learning yourself that when you have those deadlines, you need to hit them. And that's what I think is really important, that even though it was a heavy course load, you really, really do learn a lot from it. And yeah.
Right. So I'm getting a sense of it's busy. It's really busy. And so, Taylor, how did you find support from the faculty in itself for your advisors and your professors? How did you find them helping and supporting you while you were in this heavy course load environment?
I definitely think that Gustafson has some of the best professors. They are willing to come and help you day in and day out. If you can't meet their office hours for whatever reason, they're more than willing to meet with you before class, after class, at different times. And there's some great other resources that are offered. There's tutors and there's help centers. And everyone wants everyone to succeed. So even within your cohorts, it's a really supportive environment where you're friends with everyone. And if you have any questions or troubles, everyone's willing to help each other. And it is like people have said, a heavy course load, but nothing no one can't handle. And especially with Gustafson, you're supported the entire way. So you're never alone.
Beauty, thank you. And so 3 of you have graduated, you've made it, you're in 4th year, you guys in 3rd, so you're making it, you're doing it, right? So it's not impossible, which is great to hear. Awesome. Daniel's chiming in again. So Daniel, thank you for your question. Daniel wants to know, is there a major in the business school that UVic is known for? Anybody want to take this one? Yeah, go for it.
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's known for one of them, but the entrepreneurship one is got to be the most popular. We had a huge class, bigger than all of the other specializations. And I think it's because you really get a holistic view of the whole business world through that. And if you do want to go on and start your own business, will you understand what you have to go through for a startup and that kind of stuff, which really sets you up for success. But also you get that view of working in those groups again and how to succeed and how to pick teams that you want to work on. And so it's not necessarily just for starting your own business, but for getting into startups and helping other people along the way. So I think the entrepreneurship one definitely is the most popular and probably known for being really, really done. Good.
Thanks. So I'm a little curious, and we'll just get to you in a sec here, Elliot. But for myself, I'm a little confused as to maybe what the difference is between the international business aspect of the business program as opposed to exchange. Can you feel that one there, Elliot?
So the international specialization is another thing. And so Gustafson by itself is also very well known for being an international school. And that's because we send people all over the world. And all of us, or many of us are representatives of that. And like in just my 4th year alone, I got to hit 4 different continents, which was phenomenal. So that's like Gustafson in terms of just being an international destination is, you can go anywhere if you want to. Like the world it opens up. And so the international business specialization is actually when just like a full semester dedicated to learning more about the international business environment. And then it's really nice because you can complement that with actually going to, a place that you studied about. Like, for example, in our 3rd year, we learned about China. And then, the next year I was actually there living it and breathing it and like being exposed to that world. And so it's the same thing if you want to go to Europe or South America, wherever it might be. And that's sort of the difference between the international side. And so I'd say the international aspect of Gustafson is also a huge draw for it and what a lot of people know Gustafson for.
Groovy, thank you. So I'm also getting kind of a hint that there's a lot of projects involved in the business school. And so what has been your favorite project and why? We'll start with maybe Andreas, do you want to, or Lindsay?
Start with Lindsay.
Okay, Lindsay, yeah, there you go.
The most memorable project. That's a great question. That was a few years ago, but I think the most memorable one would probably be the entrepreneurship one, working on building a business. And it was my friend's company and it was all these custom suits for women. And so that was probably the most memorable experience for me.
My most memorable project so far has been working with a bunch of engineers. It hasn't been a project that was in sort of like the business program itself, but it was letting me apply everything I learned in business with engineers. So the last year we built, design, and manufacture a human-powered submarine to race it in the UK against 12 other schools around the world. I was the only marketer, the only business student amongst 91 engineers. So that's been a very cool project where I get to actually apply the business concepts that I've learned into a real project. Like I said, we went to the UK and we got 4th place around the world. So it's a pretty remarkable project I've been able to participate in by applying everything I learned here at Gustafson.
Okay, so I don't have a cool project like that. But my most memorable project to date has probably been in pre-core. I took a film class, like a film photography class. So I learned to shoot like on a film camera and then develop it in a darkroom. Sorry, I was just blanking. And that was really cool. And that was great. Like that, again, kind of speaks to the fact that you can follow your passions and you can learn things that you otherwise wouldn't learn. Like I'm a business major who took a photography class, and it wasn't like, like marketing, digital photography, trying to get people to buy your product. It was just something that I took because I enjoyed it. And I probably will make no money off of it. But I have a hobby.
So I think for me, definitely the entrepreneurship project that I did. So the last one, because you're working throughout those 3 months and it's not just one project and you're done. It's a continuation of a whole entire business plan. And when you get to the final one, you do a presentation and it's this whole thing that comes together, and you can really see that sort of in a working environment, that is exactly what happens. You work your whole way to finish this project, and when you get it done, the reward is so exciting because you've accomplished something super, super cool. I think a lot of the projects are like that, but the big one at that entrepreneurship one is so cool.
My most memorable project would probably be from third year as of right now. You do have a lot of projects within your classes, but we also got to do a really cool thing at Gustafson where we took 2 days off of classes and we had what we called the KPMG simulation. And that really put the business into like a world perspective on a computer. So we were in our groups, and for 2 days we just worked on, we were like a developer within this like online game, and we had to work on production, the marketing, investing, all these different aspects, and it was a really fun 2 days. It was hard. We did not have to take out any emergency loans though, but it was a great fun experience, and it really helped to apply what we were learning in class into like the real, or like the simulated world, which I think is gonna help me.
So I'd say my most memorable project was actually when I was on exchange, and back from high school, I had a bit of a background in acting, and that was always sort of a passion and an interest of mine, and it's not something I've gotten to spend a whole lot of time on. But when I was in Shanghai, one of the great things about exchange is that it's mandatory that you take the local language, and so luckily, because of the program structure, I was able to study a bit of Mandarin before I went. But in our Mandarin classes, essentially for the whole semester that you're there, at the end of it, and it's like Christmas time, and there's a big like Christmas gala essentially. So there was a massive school, and there was this Christmas gala ceremony, and all the different classes had to put on a show of some sort. And so I actually got to direct and act in my own play in Mandarin with my entire class. And so you're working with like 30 different students, learning like, a new language, and then putting on a show, and you're in front of hundreds and hundreds of people who you've never met before, and speaking a language that you are probably terrible at. But it was a phenomenal experience, and it's definitely something I'll never forget.
Awesome. So I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. For our viewers in China, can you maybe say a quick little phrase in Mandarin? Could you potentially? Yeah? Okay.
你好，你叫什么名字?
Dang, I think that was right. So what? I'm going to go with, yeah, sounds amazing. So I know that's hello. And then what else was that?
I'm just asking what their name is.
Oh, nice. Oh, perfect. Well, hopefully somebody from China tells us their name. So if you're out there, let us know. So that's super cool. But it sounds like the projects are so diverse. So you were the only marketer on a team of 91 engineers and placed 4th in the world. Like yourself, you're starting up your own business. You're getting to miss 2 days of school and then go and do something that's school but still fun. And then we've got stuff like hobbies that are building out from pre-core. So a very diverse and mass application here for the School of Business, which is awesome. So thank you for those insights, folks. Let's see. I want to know what your favorite class has been so far and why. Maybe we'll go round table again. Yeah.
My most favorite class was doing an international field study, and so I went to China for 2 weeks. But before that, we had to take about a month of classes. And so when we went to China, we were able to explore different companies there and learn how to do business in China. And so we went to the Google headquarters in Shanghai, as well as a manufacturing plant, a Honda manufacturing plant in the southern part of China. So that was a really amazing experience to be able to see a car and the different life cycles. And so I really enjoyed that experience. It was great to eat the food there, as well as follow our prof, who is really well versed in the language as well as in the culture, and she has amazing business connections there. So it was a great way to explore the country and learn more about how to do business there. So that was definitely being my favorite class. So the international field study.
So coming into the third year of business, I was very inclined into marketing, as you can tell based on the projects I was working on. But this year I've been exposed to accounting, and for some reason I'm loving it, just because I'm getting that exposure to the nitty-gritty aspects of business, as well as sustainability. I feel like business and sustainability is something that we should be paying more attention to. And over the course of this semester, I've just learned so many concepts and details that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get exposed to, and it just makes you think more about the business process itself and what it takes to use the resources that we have today and how we keep those resources for the future.
Yeah, I would say my favorite course has also been sustainability. It's one of those courses where, yes, you're learning theory, yes, you're learning concepts, but the whole point of it is to be able to graduate and then take it out into the real world and apply it and be change agents, which sounds so nerdy, but like part of being in part of being in this school is learning how we can change the world and how we can make an impact, and it's supposed to empower us. So that's definitely been my favorite class, and it's definitely changed my perspective, which hopefully at the end of your university career, no matter where you end up, is something that you also experience.
So I think my favorite course has to be marketing. So I had a really awesome professor named Christian. Christian was full of energy and everything, and it was my first time really being exposed to a marketing course. I didn't really know much about marketing beforehand. Yes, we all have social media, but what is the nitty-gritty behind it? Target markets, SWOT analysis, things like that I had no idea about. And for me, now looking back on it and starting my own business, well, I'm using those tactics to help that succeed. And I think that having that idea of marketing and then being able to go abroad and study marketing and come back and have that knowledge has been a really cool thing.
I honestly can't choose between my 2 accounting courses that I had in 3rd year. You have one financial accounting and one managerial accounting, and I think they're both super useful in everyday life. But I also had 2 really great profs like Chris and Kimball, who just made it fun and were really helpful in like letting me learn it, and I definitely would take them again.
For me, I would probably say it was leading people in organizations. Because in this case, it's a lot about, looking at organizations and reflecting on, what kind of a leader is in charge. And so you're learning about people and the people side of business. And that's what I'm most interested in. And so it's not just about like the numbers or the marketing plans or anything like that. So these are all the aspects of business that you go over. But it's really nice that we also have the opportunity to look at the people side of business, which is, extremely important as well. So I'd say, leading people in organizations was my favorite class.
Beauty. So sounds like a lot of different courses out there, a lot of different interests. And so Taylor, when I need help with taxes,
Bring them my way.
Yeah, I'm going to come your way. Okay. I'm going to go to you. So you guys stay away. I'm going to Taylor. All right. So we're going to start to wrap things up here. If you have more questions, please fire them out. But what type of support is available for students here? Maybe not just within the program of Gustafson, but overall, what do you think is support, the supportive community looks like here at UVic? Yeah.
Speaking on to kind of what I know of, with your first year residence guarantee, everyone gets kind of like a community leader, and there's someone who can really support you throughout all the different changes and aspects that might be going on. First year is a really intense time, and so we're there to really support you throughout that entire process, as well as there's a great counseling services, there's a human and equity rights center, there's a lot of help, like math help, there's an academic writing center, also really helpful.
Right on. Sounds like a lot of free and useful help available around campus. All right, perfect. We've got a pretty open-ended question here, and I'm going to trust all of your passions to come out in this one. But for students out there, why should they choose Gustafson?
Gustafson is where you get to create your own story. No, it's where you get to discover who you are and where you want to go, and actually how to get there. Like when I started the program, I had no idea that I'd end up in 4 different continents, and then like as soon as I graduated, I went to a 5th one, just to sort of check that off the list. But it's a place where you get to, it's an unexpected adventure. Whether you're traveling the world, or whether you're learning about different cultures, or whether you're learning about how to start your own business from scratch, or about how sustainability is affecting our world, it's teaching you how to think differently and set yourself apart and become a real leader of tomorrow. And I think that's one of the best things about a business school like this, is that we are learning how to be leaders of tomorrow, and you learn an incredible amount from the mentor network that we have as well. And I think that's something that we should touch on later on, is like how much support you get from people, because we learn the best from other people who have gone through it before, and we get an incredible amount of access to business leaders in that sense, so that we can look up to people and say, like, I want to do that one day, and then we figure out the steps of how to make those goals happen.
I would say coming to Gustafson, you should come to Gustafson because it's a community of people looking to help you find your passion, and teaching you how to turn that passion into like a reality, and how you can change the world just as your own self.
So I think the main reason that I think everyone should come to Gustafson, and because it's so great, is that you leave with the holistic view of the whole business world. For me, I didn't really have a passion of accounting or marketing or this or that, but I came out of it knowing about the entire business world and everything that sort of encompasses it. So I think that you're leaving there with a more holistic view of everything, and I think that's really, really important.
I think we touched on this earlier, but honestly, the co-op program is of such value. If apples to apples with every other school you could be possibly considering, Guston is a serious contender just based on that. I mean, yeah, we have an international focus. Yeah, there's a community, all great, and you'll love all that. But the work experience is so invaluable, and we have some really awesome co-op employers. You can really get an awesome job, and that network will stay with you. To name a few, and I'm going to be name dropping here, but like you can work for L'Oreal, or I think Nike, Goldman Sachs was just on Learning in Motion, which is our co-op platform. And you can also just go and work at a startup, which is invaluable experience, and something that you can be a critical part of a business succeeding, which is awesome. So.
I believe that Gustafson is one of those few business schools that truly empower you and help you become the leader that you should be in the business world. It's constantly showing you the ways that you can improve yourself, shape yourself to be a better person and a better business leader, and just seek for those opportunities in a daily basis.
So I think the first reason is, for me personally, is the cohort structure. It's like a really well-rounded community environment. You can be your unique weirdo self and you won't be judged, and it's just a really wonderful environment. The second one, again, would be the co-op program. It's a phenomenal experience and will open up a lot of job opportunities for you, as well as going to school in a beautiful city such as Victoria, and UVic is such a fantastic school. I know we're biased, but I can say UVic is a fantastic school. Every Wednesday, there is a pet cafe where you can play with puppies for some pet therapy. So why not? Why not? It's such a great environment, and we have really cool things such as pet therapy.
Groovy, thanks so much for those dynamic answers. We are just about to wrap up, but really quick, I did just want to touch on something Elliot mentioned. Elliot, you mentioned something about a mentorship program. Can you just elaborate on that really quickly?
And so as we mentioned a little bit earlier, a lot of what business is who you know, not what you know. And with Gustafson, they have this mentorship program. So essentially, they have a network of business leaders in the community where they connect those leaders to students. And so while you're studying, you get access to these incredible people, and, you get to sit down for coffee with them and learn about their experience. And I can very much say that a lot of what I've been able to do, like going on these international experiences and, working on my own business as well. And, I recently was accepted into one of the big 4 consulting firms, and all these things were made possible because of the people that helped me along the way. And a lot of that comes down to mentorship and guidance. And just if you have questions and, you want to ask someone about, well, I don't know what I should do about this. Like, what do you think? And just having the power to ask that question is going to help you define who you want to be and where you want to go, and helps you define the life that you can live as a business person. And I think having that mentorship program available is a huge benefit for anyone. And it's definitely, when you go throughout your business life, having mentors is one of the greatest things that you can possibly have.
Perfect. Now, just to wrap it up, we're going to finish off. I want you guys to finish off this sentence with 1 or 2 words, but I want to hear the ending of my UVic is.
My UVic is a community of awesome people.
My UVic is a world of opportunities.
My UVic is 4 years of risk.
I'd say my UVic is an unforgettable experience.
My UVic is a unique experience supported by a group of wonderful people.
My UVic is an unexpected adventure.
Right on, folks. So you heard it here first. Some great answers with some very supportive, adventurous, like-minded, and ingenious individuals. If you have more questions, please continue to ask throughout the thread. We'll be answering questions for up to 48 hours. But even past that, if you head to the My First Year at UVic Facebook page and post your questions, other students and faculty members are happy to help you out there. Thank you so much for viewing, everyone. Thank you to our wonderful panel. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much, and we'll see you at UVic. Goodbye.